eyes fill the city. There are people everywhere. The snow is falling white and pretty.
I forgot my phone. I'll be right back. Hello friends, welcome back to the vlog. Today we are doing a get ready with me, but we're also gonna do a Q&A, hence why I needed my phone. We're gonna do a Q&A. I'm gonna share kind of the skincare I'm doing this morning, the makeup, my hair plan, and we're just gonna get ready for not a normal day at work. I'm doing a photo shoot. A friend of mine owns a shoe company called Bangs, and she just wanted to take a couple of photos of me today, and I thought this was a really good excuse for me to do like hair and makeup more than I would normally do, which is anything at all. So that's what we're gonna do today. I'm gonna drink my tea. Right now I'm drinking the tea you saw me buy, I think in the last vlog, the Snow Day tea. I'm just as obsessed with it as I ever was. It's still a little too hot, but I'm gonna sip on that, get ready. We're gonna do a little Q&A time and just, yeah, have a nice little hangout. I think the first thing that I need to do is put in some dry shampoo and just kind of let that sit while I get ready. I do not know the science behind this. I don't know if this makes sense, but for me, I think it just works better if I let it sit in my hair for a little while. The dry shampoo that I'm using is a Mika. It's Perk Up. I just like the way it smells, and I like the branding. I think it's cute. I was gonna see if it says to wait, but I don't know. I'm just gonna kind of go in and separate my hair and just kind of go like that. And then okay. And I'm not even gonna rub that in. I'm just gonna put a claw clip in. All right. Now we're gonna do skincare while that kind of sets. I'm also gonna go ahead and turn my hair straightener on so it can be hot when we finish. So I asked you all on Instagram if you had any questions for me, and you guys sent in some fun ones. So we're gonna do those. The first question I'm going to take some time to think about while I get my skincare stuff together. It's, what's one thing you wish more people knew about you? So for skincare, I'm just washing my face with water this morning. I think washing with a cleanser morning and night is too much for my skin. So I just kind of wet a washcloth with like warm, not super hot water. And then that's like plenty for me. So I'll do that. My face is gonna turn red because that's what happens. It's reactive, but okay. Whew. Yeah, super red. The next thing that I'm gonna do is use this Alpha H vitamin B with copper tripeptide. Does that work anymore? To make it focus? It's focusing on me. There we go. I got this in my advent calendar last year from Anthropology, and I'm obsessed with it. I'm definitely gonna have to buy it whenever I run out, but I use it really only on special days, like when I'm being photographed or I just want to feel nice. But the answer to the question, what's something I wish people knew about me, is that I genuinely want you to do what's best for yourself. Like, what's best for you, even if it's in conflict with what's best for me, like, totally fine with me. If you need to cancel plans, I don't care. If you, and you don't have to like make me feel good about it. Like, genuinely, you can just say like, I'm just not in the mood. And I've talked about this before, I think on TikTok. I'm using the Proactive Green Tea Moisturizer. Oh, I have to cover my face. This I got in my advent calendar this year, and so far I like it. It's kind of like a gel, like serum-like, but it's a moisturizer. So yeah, even if you're like, I don't really like you, like, or I just don't think we're like a good fit for a friendship, like those things just don't, I don't know. I just like honesty. would rather everybody just do what's best for themselves. I don't like the fact that we try to shelter each other all the time. And if there's something that I'm doing that like upsets you, or now this is if we're in relationship to one another, right? Like if I'm like, and I think this is where evolution matters, like thinking about like smaller communities and how that used to be the norm. So like I have like probably 20 people that I'm like regularly in communication with, right? And for those people, I'm like, if I do something that upsets you, please tell me. I might be like, oh, that's something I can resolve. Or maybe I'm like, that's a core part of my personality. And maybe you just don't like me, and that's totally okay. But other times it's like, maybe that's a behavior I can like work on. But I will say like evolutionarily, like having 400,000 people on Instagram doing that is a lot, and like probably more than any human could handle without feeling like irritated by that, you know what I mean? So I will say sometimes like that gets to me, but like in person-to-person relationships, I just genuinely feel like do what's best for you and communicate with me and we're fine. I just don't take things personally. So that's something I would like for people to know about me. I'm using the Super Goop SPF. It's the spray. Technically it's like a setting spray with some SPF in it, but I'm just going to use it as my SPF because it's easier. That's nice when you already have makeup on and you need to reapply. But I sometimes just use it as my SPF. Not all the time, but sometimes. I'm going to start doing my hair, but we'll look up another question before I do. Your favorite reads of the year. So I have a plan to do all of my reads, like I don't know if I'm going to do every book I read or just like my favorites of the year or all the books I gave 5 stars. I think that might be what I do. I'm just going to brush out my dry shampoo now, kind of give it a rub in and brush my hair out in general. So yeah, that video is coming, but I think it'd be fun to just answer like the ones that are on my mind because, yeah, that's probably the most honest, like you know what I mean? Like the ones that stuck with me. And those are the TJ Klune books, like Under the Whispering Door and House on the Cerulean Sea. Obsessed. The Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman. And, Beach Read. I loved, what's her name? The woman who wrote Beach Read and People We Meet on Vacation. Both of those books I loved. And I also loved Dawn Dusk. Oh no. It's like Dawn Dusk Night by Anne Lamott. I can't remember the exact name, but that was one of my favorite books. The book I'm reading right now is one of my favorite books, but that's one of the later questions, so I'll save that. And Paris Apartment was really good. Yeah, I think those are my top ones that are just like on my mind right now. I'm not really like putting a lot of thought into my hair today. I'm just kind of wanting to add a little bit of texture, I guess, and like defrizz, make sure it's not frizzy. Because when I brush my hair out, it gets so frizzy. Also, this hair straightener is from Kristen S, and I'm obsessed. It has like you can swivel it. What's next? Songs you've been loving this season. And I'm guessing you mean Christmas season. And for that, I haven't really listened to any Christmas music yet. That's not just like a generic Christmas jazz thing. But you know, we all love Mariah Carey. I love the like NSYNC Christmas CD because that's like my middle school era. So those. But in terms of like this season of my life, I've been listening I don't really listen to music, if I'm honest, like often. Like it's only if I'm like trying to make myself feel something different. But if I do listen to music right now, it's the new Taylor Swift album. I really like Karma. I also really like Anti-Hero. I also listen to like Doja Cat and Lizzo. That's probably the main ones. But in general, like I don't really listen to music. I listen to like ambiance things or on YouTube if I just like want some sound around, or I'll listen to like a podcast or a YouTube video or something. The podcasts I'm really liking right now are Sisterhood of the Uncomfortable Pants. It's like two sisters who just like talk about like their life, and it's just really relaxing. The way like the cadence that they speak in is really relaxing, and it feels like you're just like part of their conversation, which I think is really fun. And then in kind of a similar vibe, like pacing wise and conversationally, is Sounds Like a Cult. I'm obsessed with that podcast. Like I just think every episode is such a fascinating thing, and it's always so fun. So those are, no one asked, but I told you anyway. Next question. Growing up, did you always know you wanted to get married, or is your experience more nuanced? I think it's nuanced. In some ways, I always wanted to get married, more so because I wanted to know that someone would love me one day, you know? And there was something kind of like about marriage that seemed like evidence of that, you know? That being said, I also kind of never dated, and I hid it under the guise of, like, I was religious, and I did like the I Kiss Dating Goodbye thing in high school. So I think there was an element of that at play, but if I'm honest, I think I just never really liked anybody enough. Like people who really were like pursuing me, I either didn't recognize that or know that, or like I would lose interest when they got interested in me. And I think a lot of that has to do with like trauma. But also, like, I'm kind of grateful that that was my experience, because I wasn't, like, I don't know, like, sometimes I'm like, oh, I should have sowed my wild oats when I was younger. But then other times I'm like, you know, I feel like I avoided a lot of additional pain in my life by just kind of having, like, my own priorities when I was younger. And then when I went to college, I had like this really big crush on like one specific person for like years. And I think that kind of kept me from really entertaining anyone else. Because I just was like comparing. It's like if I don't feel the way I feel about them, the way I kind of feel about this crush that I have, then why would I date them? Which, like, in hindsight, I don't know, that was probably not the move. But I also just, like, wanted to be one of the guys, like, really bad. Like, I didn't really want to be, like, obviously, like, I wanted certain people, like, I would have feelings for people, and I would want those people to, like, see me as, like, a girl. But, like, otherwise, like, I just was, like, trying to have fun, and not in, like, the traditional college sense. Like, I was weird. I mean, I was, like, still really religious, and was just, like, going to the prayer room all the time, and, like, doing weird stuff, like playing in the mud, like pranking people. Like, I don't know. I think I just was like having fun, and I didn't really like, I definitely had giant crushes on people. I'm not like saying I didn't, like, I just like wasn't aware. I definitely had crushes, but I also didn't care to like not have fun in order to like be more alluring, if that makes sense. I think I just didn't really know how to do that well. But that being said, I like did get married pretty young. And what's weird is that like that relationship wasn't like that like ideal, like I'm waiting for like the right person who I feel really strongly about. It was just kind of like everybody else told us to date. Like everyone in our lives was just like, y'all should date. And so then we did, you know, it was kind of like that. And we eventually got married. I think just because we were like, what do you do next if you don't get married, you know? So we did that, and it was kind of like, I'm not really, I just remember feeling like I wasn't made for that. Like the way that we were doing marriage, I was just kind of like, I just feel really stifled. I feel like not wholly myself. It felt like, I remember going to Europe and he was like really worried about me being alone and like going off by myself, that like I would get kidnapped or like we'd have separate trips. That was like a big thing. And I was just like, I just remember feeling so suffocated, but I also felt like really like I have to do this gender role thing. Like I have to be like a wife, and that a wife looks like X, Y, or Z. And that just never really like worked, you know? And then I remember toward the end of our relationship being in Asheville, and how like I had made all these friends and they were different than the friends that he had made. And that like half the people that I was spending a significant amount of time with like didn't even realize I was married, because we were just living totally separate lives. And yeah, so then after that marriage ended, I didn't think I would get married again. I thought like, I just want to have like a lot of loves. I want to like fall in love with lots of people over the course of my life, and like explore the world and have like this really like kind of bohemian experience. And then I like dated for a while, and dating, like, I don't know, like, I mean, like I had fun. I thought dating was fun because I like hearing people's stories. So it was kind of like just getting to hear people's stories. And if you're not attached to the outcome, it's not like very torturous. But it was a kind of, it felt like it's starting to waste my time. It started to get kind of boring. And then I met Obes, and we were just kind of like magnetic, and it was kind of like we were just so similar, and we just like have this similar rhythm, and we could talk for hours and kind of not even realize the time has passed. And I was like, oh no, this is trouble for me, and like this whole I'm not gonna like fall in love with someone thing. So my camera overheated, so I just took the chance to kind of go change shirts really quick before we do makeup. But to make the long story short, I was like, I'm not gonna fall in love with this person. He's not my forever person. I just want to have like a boyfriend that like I don't marry. And a friend of mine was like, oh, you're gonna marry him. You're gonna fall in love. So yeah, that's that on that. Basically, yes and no. I remember a friend of mine saying like, I could see you like not getting married when you get older and just kind of like living alone and enjoying that and like focusing on your work. And at the time it really hurt my feelings, because it felt like they were saying like no one will ever love you. But now that I'm older, I'm like, oh, actually I think I would really enjoy that life. I love my husband, I love our kid, but I don't think like that would have been a bad life for me either. Next question is, what are you thinking of mastering in if you decide to go back to school? I am thinking about going back to get an MFA for creative writing, particularly like creative nonfiction. I think that would be really cool. Let's see. I need to turn the light on for makeup, but it's gonna be bad light, I'm sorry. Do you have any tips for taking good self-portraits or professional headshots? Yes. And maybe we can do it in this video at the end, or we could do it in a future video. But I will share those with you. I think off the top of my head, it's just first is good lighting. It's like the number one thing. Like the difference between this and that, like on my skin, are so different. And then if I walk to the window, look, I'll show you. If we walk to the window, it's so much better. So that's number one. Also, this is the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer in Light 2 Vanilla. Next question. What's your current coffee order? In the morning, it's cappuccino. And with a sun-dried espresso if I can have it. Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. And in the afternoon, I've been drinking matcha, actually, more than anything, which has been actually really nice. I also sometimes get a brown sugar latte from the coffee shop across the street from my co-working space, and I really like that as well. The next question is, what is Obi going to school for? Obes is in school for creative writing and is currently applying for master's programs, which, if you don't know, are like highly competitive. So he's like very much in the throes of, you know, figuring out, or just like applying for that's really stressful because it's like thousands of people can apply and then like only sometimes like 12 people get into the program and like 3 will get scholarships. You know, every school's different, but it's just like highly competitive and stressful. Also, Obi's like my favorite writer. I wish there was a place where he like shared his writing because he's just so creative, and I don't know, I just think he's really talented and I want everybody to know about it. He's just like not as much of a sharer as I am. Did you see yourself having kids before you met your husband, or was it a bonus? I actually never thought I would have kids. It was never like something I like desired. I think like some people, like my mom always said like all she ever wanted to be was a mom. That was like her main goal. I was the total opposite of that. Like I wanted to have a career. I wanted to have a job. I wanted to like travel the world. And like the idea of like having kids just like never crossed my mind. And that being said, like that's kind of one of the reasons people were like pushing me with my ex-husband, was because neither of us wanted kids. And we were in this like small Baptist school where like that's what you're supposed to want, and we didn't. So it was kind of like, well, these two people must be together. But actually right before I met Obes, I thought to myself, like, I never like imagined myself being pregnant and like giving birth. That was just not something I like ever imagined I would do. But I had it like, it was like, I have like a lot of capacity to love, and I could see myself like loving a kid at some point. And like, I could see myself like being a stepmom. And then I met Obi and on our first date, he was like, I just want you to know, like, I have a kid. He's the most important thing in my life. Like, nothing will ever be more important to me than that. And at the time, because I was trying not to like think of them as anything other than like a guy kind of dating, I was like, oh no, because I had just kind of had that moment. Now, when I look back, it's like really sweet, you know, to think about that being kind of like planted in me before we ever even met. So it wasn't like I made that decision for them. It was kind of like that decision had kind of already been made, which I think is kind of cool. I'm sorry, I just used the butter bronzer, and I also used the Melba blush from MAC. Someone said, I'm currently reading the Enneagram letters. Which piece and or chapter were you the most proud of? I think I'm the most proud of chapter 1. I think for a lot of my favorite pieces are in that chapter. I felt the most shy, not shy, but like when I did the audiobook, when I was reading chapter 4, I kind of felt like nervous. Like, is this good? You know, I was kind of like, I was feeling really nervous. But that was actually the only chapter after I finished that the two guys, like the audio tech and then the guy from my publishing company who was doing the audiobook, like tech side of it, just catching my mistakes and stuff. They both commented on that chapter specifically as one they really liked. And so I was like, oh, you know, like everybody's going to resonate with one differently. But I think in general, my favorite pieces are the ones that are more like essay in nature. Like I like the poems, you know, but I think the essays are the ones that I really like personally love and probably align more with like the kind of work I want to do. Or even like the more lengthy poems, I think, that are kind of like more poetic essay style. Yeah, those are my favorite. I'm getting hot in this bathroom. This is the How to Be a Redhead, Finally Have Brows. It's like a universal shade. I love this one for days where I'm gonna be photographed because it's like darker than other ones I have and it lasts much longer than other ones. Decide if I want to do like mascara or eyeshadow because they're photographing me, but I'm kind of covering my face, I think. So I don't think that's necessary. I think I will just do like a bold lip and call it a day on that. Which one do I want to do? What's the best gift you ever bought for yourself? Let's think. I'm gonna give you like an answer that's like not really answering it first, and then I'll give you a real answer. I think the first one is a trip to Copenhagen by myself, which I did to write my first book. That was like one of the best experiences of my entire life and one of the greatest things I've ever done for myself. But in terms of like at present, you know, I think I'm gonna go with my Nuuly. I do like a monthly rental subscription through Nuuly, and I think it just like brings me joy every month, kind of having this new influx of clothes to play with. Battery died, so we're trying again. Before we start back on the answer, this is Maybelline in Laugh Louder, and it's kind of like the long stay lip crayon, and I'm obsessed. But I'll quickly answer that question before I start putting this on. But yeah, my Nuuly, I think it's like just the coolest thing. You get like 6 new pieces of clothes every month. I think it's like $90, and it helps me to like try clothes on before I buy them without having to like go in the store and do that. And you get like a discount on the clothes that you do buy, which has really helped me a lot, especially with jeans, because jeans are just like my nemesis. All of our nemesi, I think. Is nemesi the plural of nemesis? I think so. I'm gonna put this on real quick and then we'll answer our last question. Okay, so our last question is, what books are you currently reading? I am currently reading Call of the Wild. I can't remember the author's name. It's not the Call of the Wild that's like a fiction book like written by a man from like way back in the day. It's Call of the Wild. It's like a trauma healing book, and it's all about somatics, and it is life-changing for me like already. And I don't know, I think I need to do like a whole podcast episode about like the things I learned while reading this book, because it is blowing my mind. I know these things in my head, right? Like I read Body Keeps the Score. I've been like doing this work for a really long time. I know so much of this stuff like internally, intellectually, but she's like actually giving you the practices to take that information about your body into your body, right? Like that's, I think, so helpful. I think yeah, it's an amazing book. I haven't been reading books, like a lot of nonfiction books this year, but I'm so grateful I took the time to read this one because it's so good. I also just finished The Paris Apartment, which was an absolute delight. It was like a mystery and it was really fun. And then next I'm gonna read Glad My Mother Died by Jeanette McCurdy, because I'm starting memoirs and short stories for the winter. So that's that. I think I'm gonna go finish getting dressed, take this thing out of my hair, and then I will show you my final outfit once it's on. Okay, let's talk about the outfit. So my shirt is from Nuuly and I'm obsessed. It's like a sweater, but it's sewed to this material, so you get to have the look without the layers, because I hate layering clothes. So that's that. And then these pants are also from my Nuuly. They're from Anthropologie. They're my favorite pants right now. They're really high-waisted, so if I wanted to tuck, I could, but also just very comfortable. And my shoes are from Bangs. I'm wearing them because I'm doing that photo shoot with them today. And they're like my most comfortable shoes that I own. Also, wearing this like big red coat. It's like really long, really puffy sleeves. I think it'll photograph really cool, but it's like way too hot for me to put it on right now. I'm like sweating just like in my sweater by itself. The other thing I wanted to tell you is that I lied about my favorite gift I've ever given myself. I was wrong. The Nuuly is great, but I think the coffee bar in my kitchen is the best thing that I've ever done for myself. All the way down to like cappuccino cups and my espresso machine, but even like my Keurig, because it's just like I always have the perfect beverage. I always have the coffee I want to have. I have like syrups that I can make or buy, and like, yeah, there's just something like, it's my #1 hobby. It's like one of the greatest joys of my day, every single day, twice a day. Yeah, so that's definitely the best gift I've ever given myself, like by far. That being said, we're gonna go ahead and end, oh, I got caught on the Christmas tree. That being said, we're gonna go ahead and end the vlog here. Thank you guys so much for sending in your questions. It was so fun to answer them. You guys sent really fun ones. And I'm gonna do a whole video just on self-portraits. I decided, either a video, I think a video, because it's a complex topic and I have a lot to say. So stay tuned for that. That'll be coming maybe later this month or early next year. We shall see. But thank you all so much for joining me, and I will see you on Wednesday for the next one. Bye.